Hello everyone and welcome to the next episode of Art Side of Life, where I chat with inspiring artists 5 days a week. My name is Eva and my guest today is Ismael Alejandro Moreno Ozuna, also known as Iamo. You will learn about his journey and how he gets feedback for his art from the artists in conventions.
Done both just a physical portfolio or a tablet. So just I try not to put a lot of stuff there, maybe like from 5 to 10 pieces maybe. And I look for artists that I admire, that inspire me.
Ismael is a cartoonist and character designer from Tijuana, Mexico. He is also a marketing communication specialist, but he is mostly known for his popular Nerdmigos webcomic, where he shares his passion in telling stories. So please welcome Ismael and let's get to the interview. So welcome everyone to the next episode of Art Side of Life, and I'm super happy to have my guest here today. Ismael, hi!
Hi, hello Eva, how are you? And thanks for the invitation.
I'm good. Hopefully I pronounce your name okay, because it's hard to pronounce for me. But
yes, it's fine. It's
great. Good. And let's start then with your background. And I would like to know, maybe if you remember, what was the first thing you drew, or some creative outlet what you had when you were a kid?
I don't know. I did. I think I've been drawing since I remember, but I don't know. I watched a lot of cartoons, and I used to draw those cartoons. That's the earliest memory I have.
Did you have a favorite one, like the favorite cartoon?
Oh, there was a bunch. I remember watching like G.I. Joe, Transformers, those kinds of the 80s cartoons. I was an 80s kid.
So you were like watching these cartoons, and then you were drawing already your characters from it, like kind of inspiration?
Yeah, just trying to copy what I saw.
Oh, perfect, perfect. And when did you decide the first time that you want to like pursue your passion in these like cartoons and drawing more professionally?
That came later. That came later. But I remember I've been drawing most of my life because my parents are really creative. My dad used to be an art teacher, cool. And my mom always was doing like arts and crafts, and she was an English teacher, and then they were both very creative. So I remember drawing all the time, but just taking it seriously, it was much later after college, and then I started doing my own comic. I started trying to do my own comic, maybe 2008, 2009, something like that.
So which were kind of like the biggest decisions you had to do in order to follow your passion?
I don't know. It's I don't know. I think I've been following my passion, but I keep coming to some stops on the way, but those are like learning experiences. So just trying to get around those and learn from that and go on. But I think the passion has always been there.
So can you mention some of these stops, and how did you motivate yourself to overcome that?
So maybe there was a time when I've always had a day job. Even right now, I have a day job. I don't do the illustration full time. So I don't know. There was a time when I left a day job and I tried doing illustration full time, but so I found out that I didn't have the skills. That I didn't have a mentor, I didn't have really a goal. So that was a big learning experience for me because I wasn't ready. I wasn't ready to face that yet. So how I overcome that, I used. It was like I spent like about a year just trying to find a job in a creative field. And in that year, I used that year to actually get better at drawing and learn new tools. So at the end, it turned out okay because it was a hard time. Like it was almost a year that was unemployed. But it did teach me a lot to see what were the tools and the how to set goals. Yeah, that was one.
And have you found like a mentor afterwards, or how did you learn to set the goals? And how did you approach the learning? Did you had like websites which you learned from, or did you go to some school, or how did you approach that?
I think I've been looking for a mentor all my life. So when that happened, when I was unemployed, I started reaching out to a lot of artists because I was looking for a mentor, and I did reach out to artists. I met artists. And some of them were really how do you say they were very willing to share their knowledge. Others no others weren't. So they gave me some tips, but I really didn't find a mentor until I met Steven Silver. I met him at some convention, like comic conventions, and then I took a course with him. And he was really the one who became my mentor. He was the one who said, okay, these are the tools you need. These are the roads you can take, and this is what you need to improve. And so go and create.
Perfect. So what course did you do with him? Was it through his own website, or something you can recommend for our audience?
Yeah, I actually drove up to Burbank, where he had his studio where he lives. It's about 2 or 3 hours from where I live. So I drove up there and stayed some time there and took that course. The course was a character design course. It was half character design techniques and half gesture drawing, figure drawing. So he introduced me to those techniques. But yeah, he also has some online courses.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. I think he does because I saw it online. I just haven't checked it out yet. But yeah, so our audience can just look at it because he has like really interesting approach to also the teaching, and his characters are so alive and everything. So
yeah, and he also has some very good books that he's really willing to share his knowledge, and his books are really good. His courses are really good.
Oh, perfect. Yeah. And so when you were like reaching out to different artists, did you just write them email, or how did it look like?
During that time, the first approach was through email. Yeah, I think only once I had like a video call like this one, and that was an artist from Mexico City. Her name is Renee Shio. And she gave me some really good advice. She was very nice. And that's it. Others, I send out emails to see if they can give me some tips on my portfolio, and But yeah, the one that I had like a one-on-one feedback was Steven Spielberg, and also I like to go to comic conventions and artist conventions, and I approach artists and I like to learn from them, and I show them my drawings, and they give me some feedback. Some of them are really most of them are really willing to share their knowledge.
And so, what conventions do you go to? You've been to San Diego Comic Con, right?
Yeah.
And some other ones you like?
I like WonderCon. That's the one they have in Anaheim, just across the street from Disneyland. And I like that one too. I also meet a lot of artists there.
Yeah. And maybe for people who don't know, if they haven't been on the convention, so how do you show your artworks to different artists? Do you have your printed portfolio, or do you have it on tablet, or do you have to also sign up for some viewings of the portfolio, or how do you like to get the feedback?
I like to put a portfolio together. I've done both, just a physical portfolio or bring a tablet. So just I try not to put a lot of stuff there, maybe like from 5 to 10 pieces maybe. I just I look for artists that I admire, that inspire me, and I want to meet them. I want to meet them in person and first say thanks for the inspiration and try to get some feedback from them. And so yeah, I'm basically asking for a critique on my portfolio. And I like that. That's why I go to conventions.
I also really like to go to conventions, so I think it's really nice for young artists to experience this, like being in this creative big mess. It's wild.
And
so what do you think is the best advice you ever received?
The best advice, I think the best advice was just setting, having a goal, because for a long time I was really lost. I knew I like to draw. I like to create things and tell stories and draw cartoons, but I didn't have a goal. So I think for beginner artists, for young artists, I think that's very important. I think you do need a mentor. That can tell you, okay, so I never had someone to tell me, so what do you want to do, or what do you want to accomplish, or what's your goal? And when I ask for feedback, they'll you're going to get a good feedback when that person is the person who's going to review your portfolio, when that person asks you, what is your goal? Well, okay, so they can give you good feedback from there.
Yeah, exactly. And what would be the worst advice maybe you received, or you saw that someone gave to someone else?
I did. Well, it's maybe one of those times I approached an artist. Maybe, yeah. There was one time when I asked about the market, because I was asked that before. They told me, how's the market in Mexico? Well, it's how, and I didn't know how to answer, and so I asked an artist here in Mexico. And he told me, don't worry about it. if you really like doing this, if you want to work in this, you don't think about that kind of stuff.
Okay.
So, that wasn't really. So that didn't help a lot.
Yeah, because then it's also good to think about your target group, or if you want to work for a studio or your own, or basically what you want and how the market looks like, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. And so when you're creating your artworks, what is your kind of idea or vision when you are, or what is kind of always coming through your artworks?
I also, well, now I always think about a gesture, just a gesture and telling a story. That's always the first thing I think about. I do a lot of sketching before I finish. I don't settle on the first sketch. I always do several sketches and try to stretch that the poses and exaggerate gesture. So just I think the first thing I think about is a gesture.
And do you go sketch outside as well, or live drawing classes as well?
Yeah, I've been to some live drawing classes. There's a group here in Tijuana. It's called Tijuana Figure Drawing, and this is it's kind of new because there wasn't a group like this in Tijuana, and they started doing sessions with live models. So it's a nice group. I like to go.
Ah, that's super cool. And then you find the events like through, I don't know, Facebook events, or how did you find them?
Yeah, I found them through Facebook.
Ah, okay. So like everyone can check out what is in their area, or through meetup.com, I think, like different areas they have this.
Yeah.
Or you can start your own.
Oh yeah, you can start your own. Yeah, but this group is I found them through Facebook.
Ah, perfect. And what is your kind of go-to social media now? Because you are also on Behance, your Instagram, Facebook. So what is your favorite one where you are the most active, where people can find you?
Yeah, well, I mentioned my day job. I have a day job. My day job is this. I'm a marketer. Well, my background is in communication, but I work in marketing. So I love social media. I love learning. Solving problems through social media. So I try everything. I try all the channels, but I think that the one I like for my art projects, it's Instagram. I think that Instagram is the one that where I found more interaction with other users.
Yeah, definitely. And so do you have maybe some tips as well which you like learn over the course of working with social media, something like okay, this is interesting?
Well, what I've seen, and not only with artists, but maybe like with small businesses, they use their Facebook page as their website. But I think it's important to have a website and use social media as distribution channels, just to share your artwork or share your sketchbook through social media, but always think of your website as your portfolio, as your central content generator there. Yeah.
Definitely. And so, with your artworks, going back to that, so what is your biggest inspiration, or do you have like something strange which inspires you?
Well. For instance, for the comic I did, I used to do a webcomic. It sits on hold. I would like to do more of those, but what inspired those comics were just conversations with friends, and maybe a phone call I had with a friend. He said something funny, and that sparked an idea for a comic. So just. I think social interaction is what inspired me at least for comics.
And so how do you find new projects to work on? Or do you work only on your personal projects in your free time? Or how do you kind of balance your day?
Well, that's a good question. Well, my day job, it does take most of my time. I like my day job because I do get to be creative. I do get to do a little bit of a graphic design, some creative writing, but what I was trying to do is just get home and work a little bit on my art, on my skills, on some personal projects. Also, if I get a commission, because I've done those too. If I get like if I mean, I don't work. I don't work at a studio. I don't really do freelance work for big studios, but I do. I've done work for like small businesses, like restaurants or a school that need like a mascot for their team, or I don't know, any small business that needs like a cartoon character or a design. So that working on my day job and coming back home tired and not with a lot of energy, it wasn't working. So what I started doing, it was just waking up earlier and working on that first. So I give my first hours of the day to that, to my passion, to my personal projects or any commission work, or just to draw something, and then I do the day job, and I leave the evenings for just to other stuff, just for the home, or walk the dog, or do some exercise.
Oh, cool. Yeah. So what do you do, as you mentioned, like daily, which kind of contributes to your work? And so you said like, oh, you spend the time with the dog, or maybe do you exercise every day, or meditation, or maybe the miracle morning, when you work like on your stuff in the mornings. So.
Yeah, but that's been working on stuff on personal projects in the morning, working on my skills in the morning. That's what I did see like a big difference and improvement, because otherwise if I was getting home tired and without a lot of energy, the creative growth would be very slow.
Yeah.
I think it would be slower and just not very good.
And if someone would do something like you, and they are just starting, and what would you advise them to start with? Or maybe do you also have some tools and mediums you like now as a brand? Or
to start with, well, you just need a pencil and paper. I really most of my work most of the work I do is sketch, just pencil, paper. I used to do a lot of I started doing some artwork on Photoshop, on Illustrator, but right now I think I do more traditional sketches, more traditional pencil drawings, and just pencils. The pencils I like to use are the Colorays, Prismacolor Colorays. Those are, I think that they give you a nice underdrawing, and sometimes I use ink or markers, but you just need that.
And do you have also like a favorite markers? I don't know.
And markers, not really. I've used the ones I like, maybe the touch markers. I like those.
Oh, that one I haven't tried, because I'm just usually using Copic markers. So I'm just always trying to like try out the new thing, so to see maybe I like the ones better.
Yeah, those are nice. Touch. They're called touch.
Oh, okay, cool. And what about some mediums or tools, maybe some scheduling calendar or Evernote, or something which simplifies your life, maybe you bought recently or just use online?
Yeah, I like keeping up with technology trends, but I'm not really like a big gadget consumer. Um, I don't know. I guess I'm just old-fashioned. But I think the last gadget I got that really made a difference on my on just the way I worked was just I got those old bamboo tablets, the Wacom bamboo tablets. I still have it. That's what I use. So that was just me transitioning from a mouse to a pen tablet, and that's what I still use.
Yeah, but that's like a perfect transition because like with the vectors, it's possible to do it with mouse. If you want to do maybe Photoshop stuff, that's more tricky. But I know that with the vectors, I was also using mouse, and then I went to Intuos. So that's as well just like the tiny bit more expensive before you go crazy, you go for Cintiq or something. So
yeah.
But and so when you mentioned you do like commissions or different works, how do you decide when to say yes and no to projects? Because like you cannot do everything at the same time. So kind of what is going in your head, or right now you have time for all the projects, or
yeah, I think I have time for all the projects, but I'm also not afraid to say no to a project if it's not what I do, because I see that a lot here in Mexico. They have the fake it till you make it approach. But I say, look, if it's not your expertise yet, because I think as an artist you have to be ready for everything, but until you're ready for everything, don't be afraid to say no. So
And what about something like what you wish you knew before you started your artistic career, like advice to young self?
Well, there's a lot of things. If I do ask myself that question, what if I only knew then what I knew now. I try not to go really deep on that question because then you you don't want to feel regret. But I guess just looking for a mentor, because the people are not going to approach you. You do need to approach people, and just look for a mentor. It will take time. Set goals. Have a goal. Have a goal in mind. Work on your skills. Work on those fundamental drawing skills. Yeah. That's what I would say. But I also like to turn that question around to. If I only knew now what I knew then, so I like to think of the time when I was just drawing, not thinking too much, just having more like a sense of curiosity, a sense of wonder. As you get older, you forget of those about those simple things when you were a kid or when you were younger and when you were just experimenting. Yeah. So you can ask yourself that question and bring back all of that stuff to your older you.
And so how are you setting up goals? Do you think like, okay, I want to achieve this in 5 years, or do you put it like in 1 year, and then you break it down, or how does this look like?
I think I don't like to look too far into the future, but maybe like okay, what's my goal in the next 6 months? And then just set tasks, and break it down in tasks, and I do like to use like a calendar, and write down a calendar. I don't really put it on the computer. Just write down a calendar, and what is my goal for the month? What is my goal for the week? What is my goal for the day?
So what would be like an example of goal for the day and goal for the week, for example?
Let's say, let's say, well, for instance, right now I'm working on an illustration. I'm going to be I'm going to have a booth with a couple of friends at an art show. There's an art show in Tijuana, so I know I have to have everything ready for October, for the day of the of that art fair. So I'm working on a couple of pieces. So I know that I need to plan ahead to send everything to the printer, to have the illustration ready for the printer. So I just break it down from there, from the day of the show, the day of I want to send I need to have everything printed, to the day I need to send everything to the printer, to the day I need to review the illustrations. So I just break it down to month, week, day. And usually on a day, I know that, okay, today I need to finish this layer or this this part of the illustration, or just say, okay, or on this week I need to finish all the details, shadows and highlights. So. I just break it down and I say, okay, I have two hours to work on this today, and that's it, and that's it. I'll follow up tomorrow. So yeah, just having a calendar like that works.
Because some people are like, oh yeah, I can finish this tomorrow, or so you are all like all around. I like to plan as well.
I'll do everything today, and I won't do anything else
tomorrow or something. And as you mentioned, the exhibitions and these projects where they're coming up. So what is the most exciting project you are working on now, or something coming up in the future, if you can share?
Right now it's that art show. I'm with a couple of friends. We put together like an art group to show some like comic book style artwork. But it's mostly original art. I think all of it's original art, but it's more like comic book style art, and that's what we're showing there. And that's what I'm working on right now. But maybe in the following years, I would like to do more comics, more illustrations. I have this idea with a friend of mine that he writes short stories. I would like to illustrate some of those. So just a couple of ideas and projects that I need to plan for the following years.
It sounds good.
Yeah.
And so let's talk about the future, and like where would you see yourself in like 5 to 10 years, and what would be kind of your dream scenario, like if you cannot fail and you are not afraid of anything, and this is where you are in like 10 years?
I don't know. My goal is producing my own content, producing my own art and comics and projects, and just selling those. That's where my goal is heading. I'm not really looking for like a job in a big studio or a freelance work for big studios. It's more like doing my own projects. That's what makes me happy.
Yeah, that's perfect. Yeah, because it's important to know what you want to do, like either the working for someone else in the big studio or working on book covers or comic books or creating your own comics. So you have to think about, by yourself, like, okay, this is my goal, as you said, like how to set up the goal and kind of what inspires you. And so amazing.
Yeah.
And do you maybe have also a favorite quote, something you like or you live by?
Yeah, but I like to see this art journey as because that's something I also learned, and something that I think young people should learn from the start. There's a quote by Henry Moore, a sculptor, that said that there is no retirement for the artist. It's your way of living, so there's no end to it. So I think a lot of young artists don't know that. Don't know that you really don't stop learning. There's no end. It's you can take a slow train, you can take a fast train, but there's really no final train station. It just ends when you get off.
Like the school. I'm done.
No, that doesn't exist. So I know everything I need to know. It never ends, and I like that. I think that it's that makes it very exciting because you'll never get bored.
That's true. That's perfect. And my last question, what I want to ask, is about like far future, and like what would you like to be remembered for in 100 years?
I want to be remembered as a mentor. I think my end, my goal is I want to draw for a living. That's my goal. But my ultimate goal, I think it's to be a good mentor. For example, a couple of years ago, some friends and we created a sketch club, and I started doing that because that was also one of the things Steven Silver recommended. He said you need to find your tribe. You need to find your tribe. You need your art buddies, because this journey, the creative journey can be lonely, but it doesn't have to. You need your circle and your you need to reach out to other artists, and so that's why we started the sketch club in Tijuana. And so we get together like every month or every 2 times every month. So I was right now I'm 40 years old. So I was the first thing I thought, okay, I'm going to do these gatherings, and I'm going to meet other people like me, like in my 40s, and and I'm going to learn from them, and maybe they'll give me some tips. But in this when we get together, there are people my age, but most of them are very young. They're in their 20s. They're young artists. So I said, oh, so I'm the I'm the
mentor.
I'm the mentor. I need to put an example here. So and I like that. I like to feel that I'm there for them, that I can teach them something and show them some tips that I've learned in this journey, and I think that's what I would like, just pass on what I've learned.
Oh, that's perfect. I like that. And also, like when you mentioned that you started later, so you didn't start it right away, like when you were in high school, and you know, some people when they're just studying and they're freaking out, like, oh my God, what I will go to study and like what's next. And I also started later, and if you are really dedicated, yeah, you can just continue and do it whenever, so it's never too late.
Yeah, it's never too late. No.
Oh, perfect. And I'm super happy that you had time to join us here and like share your experiences and tips. So I'm really happy. Thank you.
No, thank you. I really enjoyed this conversation. Thank you.
Oh,
thank you for the invitation.
Oh, my pleasure. And before we say goodbye, maybe you can share the last piece of guidance or key takeaway, and then we will go to draw more.
Well, just yeah. Well, I would suggest that to find your tribe. Because if you ask me what keeps me motivated, that's one of the reasons I started a sketch club with friends, and that's the first time the first time, so it was maybe just me and another person, or maybe just me, and then more people started coming, and then it was a group of 30 people.
Oh, perfect.
So, and that just learning from other people, meeting other artists, and seeing how they had the same struggle as I have, or how they solve those problems, or how or maybe they know like something simple, like maybe that they can recommend a printer. Mm-hmm. Or maybe a printer service, or maybe they can recommend I don't know, like where do they how do they publish their books, something like that, or and also what you can teach younger artists, because I tell them, okay, now I tell them, oh, you need to have a goal, and so everything I learned. So that's what keeps me motivated. So I would encourage everyone to just reach out to other artists and make friends with other artists. Don't stay in your home alone. Go out and invite other people to go have a coffee, draw people, people sketching.
Perfect.
And yeah, just don't stay at home alone. Just meet other people and learn from them.
Yes, I totally agree.
Yeah.
So thank you again so much for being here, and it was so much fun.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun. I really enjoyed it.
Oh, perfect. And thanks everyone for joining, and see you in the next episode.
Okay. Bye.
Hey guys, if you enjoyed this video, don't forget to give it a thumbs up and let me know in comments. Also, please subscribe to my channel for more videos, because I post new interview every single workday. You can also find the resources mentioned in this episode at artsideoflife.com. Just type a guest name in the search bar. There is also a little freebie waiting for you, so go check it out. If you want to listen to the interviews on the go, make sure to check out the podcast episodes at artsideoflife.com/podcast. Thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate you, and don't forget to inspire each other. I will see you guys in the next episode.